CEO and co-founder. If you have electricity, good for you. There's about 100,000 Rhode Island businesses and homes without electricity, and the numbers are even higher in Massachusetts, maybe as many as 500,000 without electricity in the Bay State. Also, if you haven't seen it, there's an in-depth investigative piece about a company that Helena Foulkes, one of the candidates for governor, launched simultaneous to her deciding to run for governor of Rhode Island. It's an interesting peek into what she filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Take a look at that investigative piece. It is a good political insight. But I do want to go to our friends at Mott & Chase. This is my favorite time of the week, get to talk about real estate, which is always wild and woolly these days in Rhode Island. And Jay Readyhough joins us. He's kind of the man down in Narragansett. Jay, thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
So Jay, let's talk about the market a little bit. You know, we saw a little, maybe for the first time, a cooling in the Rhode Island market. It was a small amount of change in the median single-family house price from August numbers to September's numbers. It actually came down a little bit. It might be a statistical aberration of what sold and what closed during that period of time, but it wasn't that leaping upward increase in price that we've seen for, I can't even remember how many months. I think it's about 3 years straight.
It seems that way. It's been pretty frenzied for quite some time now.
Have you ever seen, I mean, you've been down in South County for you know, a long time, and you've seen these waves come through with the market. Have you ever seen anything like this period of time?
Truthfully, I have not. I can remember, you know, a couple of spikes, the mid, you know, 2005 to 2007, and right up till September of 2008 even, which was a pretty wild time with a lot of multiple offers. And
Jay, you know, how much of the business that you're seeing, the number of transactions, the interest in property, are fueled by out-of-state people? I mean, you're in sort of that hotbed of where out-of-staters are looking. They're looking at that Narragansett, South Kingstown area, obviously Westerly as well in Newport, but that's really a hotbed.
It is very much so. About 25% of our buyers are out-of-state buyers. The vast majority of them come from Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, but we're now seeing Florida, California, and a variety of other states on the West Coast. So it's quite a change.
Yeah, please.
Just wanted to mention, when you get into the luxury market, which we'll define as $1 million plus, 50% of the sales are bought by out-of-state buyers.
Talk about those West Coast people. You know, we know about the Mass and the Connecticut, New York,
Yep.
New Jersey. They've always been poaching our best property for years here in Rhode Island. But talk about what you're seeing. You know, these folks who are coming in from California. Why? Is it that their son or daughter's going to Brown or RISD, or why are they gravitating?
Well, often there is a connection with Rhode Island. Maybe they went to school here, used to summer here, but I think more today, with the ability to work remotely, people are choosing to get out of Dodge. A lot of traffic. There have been horrendous fires out there. There's always the threat of earthquakes, I guess, in California. So I think that has something to do with it. But people, as COVID finally starts to subside, it seems to me that people are looking for the kind of properties that we have here in Rhode Island. Privacy, near the beach, near the pond, the whole 9 yards.
These people from California, they're not going to bring bad karma. Bad things aren't going to start happening to George's or Aunt Carrie's or things like that.
Absolutely not.
Let's talk about a property that you have. I know it from being an undergrad at URI and living down off of Boon Street in the summer, I'm going to say 1984. And talk about the transformation of Boon Street and then what's going on in this wildly historic church building that was a Presbyterian church back in the 1800s. was dormant for decades. What's going on now?
Well, with that particular building, construction is underway. It's going to be a fabulous project. I have an owner from Boston who's a pleasure to deal with and knows what he's doing. We have 2 condos there, only one of which will be sold. And that one's about 4,100, top of the line everything. But the beauty of this place, in addition to the fabulous quality that I know we will have there, is that it is a breathtaking building. The gentleman who used to head up the Columbia College of Architecture designed this in 1880, and he was kind of a rock star architect in those days. Prior to that, he held the same position at MIT, but it's a Carpenter Gothic building, primarily Narragansett Pier pink granite. And that was about all that was left of the original church, because in 38, the belfry blew over. And in the 50s, there was a fire that took the 2nd and 3rd floors out because that was timber framed. That belfry is still standing today, the stone, and even that will be repurposed and rebuilt with a beautiful spire on the top. It's about 80 feet high.
4,100 square feet, that's a big condominium. Have they given any guesstimation about what the asking price will be?
The asking price is $2.85 million. We've had decent activity because, I say that because we haven't had a lot of activity relative to building because of the supply chain backup. But the lumber's now coming in. There's been a lot of stonework done and repointing and what have you, so we're getting there. And we had a very, very good offer very early on, which we decided to pass on at that point in time. But it's going to really start taking shape fairly quickly now.
It's a remarkable location, obviously. It's, just literally a couple blocks from the beach. Coast Guard House, you name it, everything that you want to have in that Narragansett lifestyle, where you can really walk to restaurants and to the beach and enjoy everything, go for that stroll along the walkway there. What's your expectation of when it's going to be completed, and how soon will you have it wrapped up? Do you think it'll be sold before it's completed?
We hope so. We're looking now at a construction schedule that we think is about 9 months. So we're shooting for the end of June, the beginning of July. Things happen, it could change, but our hope is that it will move along quickly, because the more activity on that site and the closer we get, when we can actually get inside and start to point out the advantages and benefits, not only of this building, but of this location, I think it's going to take off.
Jay, talk a little bit about the transformation. I read about and I see the transformation that's going on in Narragansett, and it really does sort of spark those postcards you've seen from the late 1800s of when Narragansett was, an East Coast destination in the summer. It wasn't a Rhode Island destination. It's where people, it was almost Newport before Newport in a way. Talk a little bit about what that transformation, the new hotels, sort of the change in how Narragansett's being used.
Yeah, I've been doing this since 1978, and every year we've seen an influx of tourists, and it grows each year. Narragansett Pier is a hot spot right now. There are innumerable beautiful Victorians, homes along Ocean Road. Again, this church that we're renovating is, I think, 750 feet from the seawall. But it's a real draw. We have the ponds, the fishing, the boating, the beaches, and a lot of good restaurants now. So it is definitely a destination for not only out-of-state tourists, but it continues to be a second home for a great many Rhode Islanders.
And new hotels. I mean, Lots of people enjoyed Narragansett, but there wasn't any place really to stay at. There was that motel sort of on the waterfront for years and
Exactly.
years. A little honky tonk. Once stayed there for a wedding.
Yeah.
But now it's really trading up.
Yes, very, very much so. There are a couple of little boutique hotels going up uh, right on Boon Street. Boon Street's going through an amazing transformation. The former, what a lot of people remember as a laundromat, was originally a train station. And that is now being completely rehabbed into a combination of residence and commercial office space, that kind of thing. The street is transformed. It's going to be even better.
Jay, where do you see this going? Do you see this as a long-term continued growth for that region? Do you see prices continue to spike? You know,
Yep.
when you've got so much wealth coming in from out of state, and these are cash buyers, they're not going anywhere. They don't really care about upturns or downturns. This might be their second home or their third home. Where does this all go?
Well, you know, we're seeing a little bit of a softening now, but it's very slight. In the long term, I think that this will continue. Prices are up dramatically. Um, Days on market are down remarkably. Things are going very quickly. I wish we had more inventory. That's about the only problem we have because people are stepping up and buying some beautiful homes.
Jay, you get the last word. Tell us if you're that, you know, Rhode Islander who's been thinking about moving down towards South County, what do they need to know? What do they need to be thinking about?
Well, they need to number one, find themselves some professionals they can depend on, starting with a realtor, a pre-qualification, and a lender. But in terms of what they should be wary about, everyone's a little. No one likes to pay more than full price. But I will tell you, in the last 3 months, the average sale has been at 100% of the list price. One month it was 99, one month it was 101%, and the other 100%. That will continue. Um, the multiple offers are continuing. Not quite the frenzy we had, but it's our practice now to do an open house as soon as we can after the property is listed and we have our hands full. There are a lot of people, and a lot of people who appreciate the area and hopefully will appreciate the particular listing they're looking at, but they are selling very quickly.
Jay Readyhough, thank you from Mott and Chase. I greatly appreciate you taking the time to join us. Listen, anytime you can get somebody from South County to join us on air, it was not a beach day, so you had some extra time. I appreciate you taking it. For everybody else, stay tuned. There's going to be a lot of updates today on the storm damage, what the impact is, how quickly National Grid is getting people's energy restored, and we'll be tracking that. If you haven't seen it, there's a live map on GoLocal. You can track who's lost power and what the estimated time of recovery is. You can see that on a real-time basis. For everybody else, listen, if you haven't gotten vaccinated, Governor says 90% of eligible Rhode Island adults have at least gotten their first shot. If you haven't gotten vaccinated, don't be left out. Get vaccinated, be safe, keep your family safe, don't lose your job over it, et cetera, et cetera. It's all to the benefit and it's totally safe. Thanks, everybody. Stay tuned for more updates.